I'm 27, male, working as a software developer at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. Not fang money, trust me, I wish, but I do okay for myself. Grew up as the awkward middle child, you know the type, straight A's, built computers for fun, got picked last in gym class. Meanwhile, my older sister Emma, 29, female, was the stereotypical golden child, varsity everything, homecoming queen, the whole package. Our youngest brother, Jake, 24, male, somehow managed to fly under the radar during all of this. Lucky kid. So picture this. It's January 2023, and I'm finally hitting my stride career-wise after grinding through a 6-month coding boot camp back in 2019 while working help desk tickets during the day. Do not recommend. I'd worked my way up from junior developer to just landing a senior position. We're talking about a jump to around $120,000 a year, which honestly still feels surreal for a guy who was making $15 an hour at Best Buy 4 years ago. I mentioned the money thing because it's important context. See, I grew up watching my parents stress about bills, so I've always been super careful with money. My apartment's nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom in a decent part of town. My car is a 2018 Honda Civic I bought used. Her name's Ada, after Ada Lovelace. Yes, I'm that kind of nerd. Most of my cash goes straight into index funds and my 401k because that's what all the finance subreddits told me to do. Emma, though, man. Emma's a different story. Remember those people from high school who peaked during senior year and never really adjusted to the real world? That's my sister. She was working as a personal trainer at one of those luxury gym chains. You know, the ones with eucalyptus towels and whatever the hell a recovery lounge is, making maybe $45,000 a year if she was lucky. Her fiancé Ryan was supposedly this up-and-coming real estate agent, always talking about his massive deals that were just around the corner. Their Instagram feed looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine, always at the newest restaurants, matching Lululemon outfits, constant weekend trips to trendy Airbnbs. They were renting this ridiculous house in one of Austin's hip neighborhoods. We're talking $4,000 a month for that modern farmhouse look that's everywhere here. But if you knew what they actually made, well, let's just say the math wasn't mathing. Then came the call. It's like 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm in the middle of a League of Legends match. Yes, I still play, judge away. And Emma's calling. Now, Emma never calls me unless she needs something, so I already knew this wasn't going to be good. She's full-on crying, can barely get the words out. Turns out they're 3 months behind on utilities, maxed out 4 credit cards, and their rent check is about to bounce. Ryan's big deals had all fallen through, and his broker was threatening to pull his license if he didn't start closing something soon. Being the certified softie that I am, I felt bad, like genuinely bad. Maybe it was residual guilt from all those times she stuck up for me when kids were being jerks in middle school. Maybe it was because she actually said, "I need your help," for the first time ever. Or maybe I'm just a sucker, but I offered to help, just until Ryan's next deal closes. She said maybe 2 or 3 months, tops. She needed $2,000 to catch up on rent and get the utility companies off their backs. That's not nothing, but I had it in savings. And family's family, right? I sent the money that night, even helped her set up a budgeting spreadsheet that she never opened, and suggested some ways to cut back that she ignored completely. But hey, at least I try to be responsible about it. Here's where I made my first mistake. I let it become a regular thing. Every month, Emma would send a Venmo request, sometimes with a heart emoji, sometimes with a "you're the best brother ever." Once she even sent a photo of their dog with a sign saying, "Thank you, Uncle, my name," which I'll admit was pretty cute, but looking back, it was all just manipulation. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that Ryan would start closing deals again. Spoiler, he wouldn't. That Emma would finally stick to a budget. Spoiler, she didn't. That they'd get their act together and stop needing their nerdy little brother to bail them out. Biggest spoiler, nope. Instead, I watched through their social media as my money funded their perfect life. While I was meal prepping chicken and rice, they were posting stories from $200 sushi dinners. While I was putting off buying a new graphics card, Emma was showing off her new Dyson Airwrap. Took me 20 minutes of Googling to figure out what that even was. Apparently, it's a $600 hairdryer. The worst part? I actually defended them when my friends pointed out the red flags. They're just bad with money, I'd say. They need guidance. Families got to stick together. God, I can't believe how naive I was. But as time went on, she got more, let's say, comfortable with the arrangement. The requests started coming with zero context, just the money amount, and usually some BS emoji combination, like praying hands or "you're the best brother ever" star. One time, she even had the audacity to mark it as urgent because they wanted to book a limited time deal on a weekend trip to the hill country. You know, because that's totally what emergency financial aid is for. Here's what really gets me though. I was actually making sacrifices to help them, real ones. I had been saving up for a down payment on a house because Austin rent is getting ridiculous, but that fund basically became the Emma and Ryan support fund. I cut my 401k contributions from 15% to 6% just to keep my own emergency fund intact. My gaming PC is still running a GTX 1080 because I kept putting off upgrades. Hell, I even switched to store-brand coffee. Fellow developers will understand what a sacrifice that is. Meanwhile, their Instagram feed looked like a freaking lifestyle influencer's highlight reel. Let me paint you a picture of what my $2,000 was actually funding. October 2023, Emma posts about their spontaneous date night at that new rooftop sushi place downtown. Quick Google search shows their tasting menu is $150 per person, not including drinks. They got the sake pairing. I know because she posted all of it on her stories. November 2023, Ryan decides he needs a more professional image for real estate. Suddenly, he's wearing a different Polo logo shirt in every photo. The same week they're too broke to pay their water bill. Make it make sense. December 2023, they throw this massive Christmas party at their house. We're talking catered food, one of those professional light displays outside, custom cocktails, the works. Emma even hired a photographer for a house party. Meanwhile, I'm eating microwave ramen because it's the end of the month, and I just sent them their rent money. January 2024, Emma starts posting about her fitness journey again. New Lululemon everything, that stupid hydro rowing machine that costs more than my first car. A fridge full of those overpriced meal prep services. But God forbid they learn to budget or cook for themselves. The crazy part? I actually convinced myself this was okay. I had this whole rationalization worked out. They're just bad with money, they need guidance. Or at least they're not in debt anymore. Spoiler, they totally still were. Or my personal favorite, they'll pay me back once Ryan's real estate career takes off. My best friend Mark, who works in fintech, and has been telling me I'm an idiot since day one, actually sat me down and did the math. In 18 months, I'd given them $36,000. $36,000. That's a decent down payment on a house in some parts of Texas. That's a new car. That's a lot of money to give to people who are posting weekly mani-pedi updates on Instagram. But you want to know the real kicker? You know what finally made me realize how deep this money pit went? I made a spreadsheet, because of course I did, tracking their social media spending based just on what they posted publicly. In the same 18 months I'd given them $36,000, they had spent at least $4,800 on gym memberships. Both had Equinox memberships, if you know you know. $3,000 plus on Emma's wellness treatments, whatever the hell those are. $2,400 on Ryan's golf club membership. $5,000 plus on restaurants, just the ones they posted about. $3,500 on Emma's Sephora addiction. She had their top-tier reward status. $2,900 on Ryan's work wardrobe. God knows how much on their constant weekend trips. And these are conservative estimates based only on what they publicly posted about. The real numbers were probably way higher. The worst part? Every time I tried to bring up budgeting or financial planning, they'd get defensive. Emma would pull the "you don't understand, we have to maintain an image for Ryan's career card," or my favorite. Just because you're okay living like a college student doesn't mean everyone wants to live that way. Yeah, because living within your means is totally the same as being a broke college kid. Looking back, I realized they never saw my help as temporary. They'd built their entire lifestyle around having that extra $2,000 a month. They were counting on their rich tech brother to keep subsidizing their Instagram perfect life indefinitely. You ever have one of those moments where your whole world shifts on its axis? Like 1 minute everything's normal, and the next you realize you've been living in some kind of bizarre alternate reality? Yeah, welcome to my mom's 50th birthday party. Mom had wanted a big celebration, so we rented out this cute little event space in South Congress. Nothing too fancy, but nice enough that Emma complained it wasn't Instagram-worthy. Should have been my first clue for how the day would go. I'd spent the morning helping set up, making sure the catering was sorted, and testing the AV system for the slideshow I'd put together of old family photos. You know, actual useful stuff. Emma and Ryan showed up an hour late because, of course, they did. They rolled up in his leased BMW, another red flag I'd been ignoring. Who leases a 540i when they can barely make rent? Emma was wearing this designer dress that still had the tags tucked in. Found that out later, she was planning to return it. And Ryan was sporting his newest real estate power look, complete with Gucci loafers. I remember thinking they looked like NPCs from a game about wealthy millennials. The party was going fine at first. Mom was happy, Dad was doing his usual "I'm manning the grill, even though we have caterers" thing, and my brother Jake was entertaining our little cousins with some TikTok dances. Normal family stuff, you know. I was mostly hanging back, nursing my beer and trying to avoid Ryan's attempts to rope me into his latest investment opportunity. Spoiler, it was crypto. That's when I noticed my Aunt Linda giving me these weird looks across the room. Linda's always been the straight shooter in the family. She's that aunt who will tell you if your outfit looks bad or if your boyfriend's a loser. No filter, just facts. After dinner, I was helping clean up some plates in the kitchen because apparently I'm the only one who was raised to help at parties when Linda cornered me. She had this look on her face like she was about to tell me someone died. "Honey," she said, checking over her shoulder to make sure we were alone, "we need to talk about Emma and Ryan." I figured she was going to lecture me about enabling their lifestyle or something. I'd gotten pretty good at deflecting those conversations, but what came next hit me like a truck. "I was at Cousin Sarah's baby shower last week," Linda started, her voice low. "Emma and Ryan were there, getting pretty loose on the mimosas. They were talking about you, making jokes." My stomach did this weird flip thing. "What kind of jokes?" Linda looked physically pained. "They were calling you the rich tech nerd who was too busy with his computers to have a real life. Said you were..." She paused, clearly debating whether to continue. "They said you were such a loser that you had to buy their friendship with the monthly payments." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. But Linda wasn't done. "Emma was laughing about how you're so bad with money because you wasted it all on them instead of getting a life. And she told everyone the money was just tech bro guilt payments because you make too much for doing nothing all day." The beer in my hand suddenly felt very heavy. Through the kitchen door I could hear Emma's distinctive laugh. She was probably showing someone her latest Instagram photos. My ears were ringing. "That's not all," Linda continued, her hand on my arm. "Ryan was bragging about how they've got you wrapped around their finger. Said as long as Emma plays the helpless little sister card, you'll keep paying their bills indefinitely." I must have gone pale because Linda pushed a chair toward me. I sat down hard, my mind racing through every interaction over the past 18 months. Every thank you text, every grateful hug, every "you're the best brother ever" message. It had all been an act. "Why are you telling me this?" I managed to ask. Linda's face softened. "Because you're a good kid who works hard for his money. And because I watched them take thousands of selfies tonight in front of the decorations you paid for, making fun of how you try too hard to make mom happy." Right then, Emma burst into the kitchen, already talking a mile a minute about how Ryan needed my help setting up his new crypto wallet. She stopped short when she saw my face. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice dripping with that fake concern I now realized I'd been hearing for months. I looked at her, really looked at her. My sister was wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly student loan payment, holding the latest iPhone I'd convinced myself she needed for work, planning a wedding I was expected to help pay for, all while laughing at what a sucker I was. "Yeah," I said, my voice steady, "everything's fine." But it wasn't fine, not even close. As I watched Emma bounce back to the party, already posting another story about her amazing family celebration, something inside me shifted. The quiet tech nerd who always helped everyone. He was done being the family ATM. I spent the rest of the party watching them through new eyes. Every laugh felt hollow, every hug felt fake. Every time Ryan mentioned his upcoming deals or Emma talked about their investment strategy, I felt physically ill. When they left that night, early, because they had brunch plans the next day, Emma gave me her usual "love you, bro," and Ryan did his fake punch on the arm thing. I smiled and waved goodbye. They had no idea what was coming. Here's the thing about being the tech nerd of the family. We're really good at documentation and planning and being methodical when we need to be. Emma and Ryan thought I was just some pushover who typed on keyboards all day. They were about to learn exactly what a motivated developer can do with a spreadsheet and too much cold brew coffee. The morning after Mom's party, I woke up early and did what I do best. I made a project plan. Remember that spreadsheet I mentioned earlier? Time to turn it into a weapon. I spent the entire Sunday going through 18 months of receipts, bank statements, and Venmo histories. Every single payment, every request, every emergency transfer, all of it meticulously cataloged. But the real gold mine? Social media. See, Emma and Ryan weren't just bad with money, they were compulsively public about it. They tagged every restaurant, every store, every luxury experience. They'd even enabled location sharing on most posts, so I could literally map out their spending sprees. Remember that fancy sushi dinner they had when they were too broke to pay their electric bill? Tagged with hashtag date night, hashtag luxury life, hashtag no regrets. The Gucci loafers Ryan bought instead of paying their car insurance? Posted with hashtag gotta invest in yourself 100%. I created a timeline matching their social posts against their desperate requests for money. It was actually kind of impressive how blatant it was. They'd post about booking a spa weekend. Then 3 days later, Emma would text me about a surprise medical bill. They'd show off their new restoration hardware furniture. Then Ryan would call about being short on rent. The audacity was almost admirable. Then I did something that probably sounds petty but turned out to be crucial. I started screen recording their Instagram stories. You know how those disappear after 24 hours? Well, not if you save them. Every humble brag, every hashtag blessed caption, every screenshot of their DoorDash orders, I kept all of it. I even made a folder of screenshots showing timestamps of when they'd post about buying luxury stuff, literally hours after I'd sent them money. But here's where my inner nerd really came in handy. I built a simple program to track their posting patterns. Turns out, they had a system. They'd usually ask for money on Thursdays or Fridays, right before their weekend plans. They'd wait until the money cleared, then suddenly there'd be a burst of posts about their spontaneous adventures. Like clockwork, every single time. While I was doing all this detective work, they were still living their best fake life, completely oblivious. Emma sent her usual Venmo request that Monday, $2,000 with a rent due caption. I didn't respond. Tuesday morning, another request. Hey bro, did you see my Venmo? Kind of urgent. I left it on read. By Wednesday afternoon, Emma was calling. I let it go to voicemail. She left 3 messages, each one increasingly panicked. The last one was just, William, what the hell? We need that money. Thursday morning, I got the text I'd been waiting for. Are you mad at me or something? Ryan says we can probably get an extension on rent, but we really need your help. Call me. That's when I made my first move. I sent back a single screenshot, their post from Sunday, showing their $500 recovery brunch at some bougie downtown restaurant, timestamped just hours after they'd left Mom's party. No caption, no comment, just the receipt they'd proudly shared with their food blogger friends. Emma called immediately. I actually smiled when I saw her name pop up on my phone. Time to put those improv classes I took in college to good use. Hey Em, sorry, I've been busy, I said, making sure to sound distracted. What's up? What's with the screenshot? She demanded. Are you, like, stalking my Instagram or something? Oh, that? Just noticed you guys had a nice brunch right after asking me to cover rent again. Must have been good. $500 is a lot for eggs. The silence on the other end was beautiful. I could practically hear her trying to come up with an explanation. That was different, she finally stammered. Ryan had some clients he needed to impress. It's business expenses. Right, I said, keeping my voice neutral, just like the Gucci loafers were a business expense and the spa weekend was for networking. Another long pause. Who's been talking to you? Her voice had that edge it gets when she's losing control of a situation. Does it matter? Look, I'm having some cash flow issues right now. Might need to pause the payments for a while. Cash flow issues? She actually scoffed. You make like $1 billion writing computer stuff. And there it was, the entitled attitude Linda had warned me about. The mask was already slipping. Actually, I make $120,000 before taxes, and I've been sending you $24,000 a year. Want to do that math real quick? This isn't funny, William. We're counting on that money. We have bills to pay. Weird how you need my money so badly when you just dropped $900 on a Dyson Airwrap. Or was that for clients too? Click, she hung up on me. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Ryan sent a paragraph about how I was tearing the family apart. Emma switched to guilt trip mode with a photo of their past due utility bill, conveniently cropped to hide the date. Even my mom texted asking if everything was okay because Emma was very upset. But I stayed quiet, posted nothing, said nothing, just watched as they started to realize their gravy train had hit the brakes. The best revenge plan is like good code, you set it up right, then let it run itself. And boy, was it about to run. That's when Emma deployed her nuclear option. She called our mom, crying. Now, you need to understand something about our mom. She's the sweetest person alive, but she's also been enabling Emma's behavior since we were kids. If Emma was upset, it was always someone else's fault. When she maxed out her first credit card at 19, Dad was too strict with money. When she dropped out of college, her professors were against her creative spirit. Now, her terrible money habits were apparently my fault for suddenly abandoning her. Mom called me at work, which she never does. I could hear the tension in her voice immediately. William, your sister is hysterical. She says you're refusing to help with their bills anymore. They might lose their house. First of all, it wasn't their house. It was a rental they could never afford. Second, the only thing they were at risk of losing was their luxury lifestyle. But try explaining that to a mother who's listening to her daughter sob about being homeless. Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice level. Did Emma happen to mention that I've been giving them $2,000 every month for the past year and a half? Silence. Then she said, you were helping with rent sometimes. Sometimes? Mom, I've given them $36,000. That's more than some people make in a year. And want to know what they did with it? Check Emma's Instagram. I heard her typing. My mom's not super tech savvy, but she knows how to stalk her kids on social media. I waited as she scrolled through Emma's feed, the brunches, the shopping sprees, the weekend trips, all of it meticulously documented with #blessed hashtags. "Oh," she said quietly. I didn't realize, but Emma wasn't done. When Mom didn't immediately solve her problem, she started calling other family members. Aunt Linda already knew the truth, obviously, but others started getting involved. My cousin Mike texted, asking if I was in some kind of trouble because Emma said I was acting erratic with money. Uncle Steve, who's some kind of financial advisor, called to offer his services because he'd heard I was struggling with fiscal responsibility. The stories Emma was spinning got wilder by the day. By the end of the week, half the family thought I was either having a mental breakdown, secretly gambling, or had joined some kind of tech cult that made me turn against my family. My brother Jake, bless his soul, just kept sending me popcorn emojis and asking if he could watch the next time it all kicked off. Then Ryan showed up at my office. I work at one of those typical tech companies in downtown Austin, you know, the kind with cold brew on tap and beanbag chairs everywhere. I was in the middle of a code review when our receptionist pinged me on Slack. "There's someone here insisting on seeing you. Says he's family." I walked into our lobby to find Ryan pacing back and forth, still wearing his realtor uniform, crisp polo, khakis, that fake Rolex he bought from his guy. He was trying to look professional, but I could see the desperation in his eyes. "We need to talk," he said, trying to keep his voice down. "This has gone too far." I looked at him, then at the security guard who was watching us curiously, then back at him. "You came to my workplace for this? You won't answer our calls. Emma's a mess. Our rent is due in 3 days, and our electricity is about to be shut off." "Weird," I said, pulling out my phone. I opened Instagram and showed him Emma's post from that morning. A mirror selfie showing off her new Lululemon haul with the caption #TreatYourselfTuesday. His face went red. That's not what it looks like. She's trying to maintain her image for her fitness clients. Right. "And I guess the $300 sushi dinner you posted about last night was for networking?" He actually took a step back. "Have you been stalking our social media?" "Stalking?" "Ryan, you tag the restaurants. You geotag your locations. You literally post the receipts trying to flex on people. I'm not stalking you, I'm just paying attention." That's when he switched tactics. His voice got low, almost threatening. "Look, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. I know people, important people." I couldn't help it, I laughed, like actually laughed out loud. "Important people?" "Ryan, I checked your real estate license records. You haven't closed a deal in 8 months. The only important people you know are the bartenders at that overpriced whiskey bar you can't afford. Security was definitely watching us now." Ryan noticed too because he tried to backpedal. "Just think about what you're doing to your sister, to your family." "I have thought about it. I've thought about it $36,000 worth. And I'm done." I turned and walked back to the office, leaving him standing there. As the door closed behind me, I heard him call out, "This isn't over." But it was. He just didn't know it yet. After Ryan's little office visit stunt, things escalated faster than a JavaScript framework update. Mom decided we needed to have a family meeting to work things out. Those of you with dysfunctional families know exactly what that means. It's code for "let's all gather so the troublemaker can apologize, and we can go back to pretending everything's fine." Mom scheduled it for Sunday afternoon at their house. Family meetings at my parents' place always followed the same script. Everyone sits in the living room. Mom makes her special occasion coffee, just regular coffee, with cinnamon, but don't tell her I said that. And Dad pretends to mediate while actually just wanting to get back to his garage projects. But this time I came prepared. Remember that documentation I mentioned? The spreadsheets, screenshots, and records? I spent Saturday night putting together what we in tech would call a presentation deck, but was really more like a PowerPoint of receipts. I brought my laptop, an HDMI cable, always be prepared, and enough evidence to make a forensic accountant blush. I arrived early because I needed to set up. Mom looked nervous when she saw me plugging my laptop into their TV, but she just kept stress cleaning the already spotless coffee table. Dad was in his usual armchair, trying to look interested in his phone but actually playing Candy Crush. My brother Jake showed up next, took one look at my setup, and whispered, "This is going to be good," before claiming the best seat in the house. Emma and Ryan arrived late, shocking, I know, in his BMW. Emma had clearly been crying. Her makeup was perfect, so these were definitely strategic tears. Ryan was wearing what I'd started thinking of as his serious business outfit, polo, khakis, and that embarrassing fake Rolex. They stopped short when they saw the TV screen showing my desktop background. Yes, it's still the default Windows one, don't judge me. "What's all this?" Emma demanded, already sounding defensive. "Just a little presentation," I said, opening my files. "Since we're here to talk about money, I figured some visuals might help." Mom tried to intervene. "William, I thought we were just going to talk." "Oh, we're going to talk," I said, clicking to the first slide. "Let's start with a timeline." The TV displayed a neat chart showing every payment I'd made to them over 18 months, aligned with their social media posts from the same periods. Emma's face went pale. Ryan started tugging at his collar. "In the past year and a half," I began, using my best explaining code to non-technical manager voice, "I've given you $36,000. That's after taxes, by the way. Let's look at how that money was spent." Click. Next slide. A compilation of their Instagram stories showing expensive dinners, shopping sprees, and self-care purchases, each dated within days of my payments. "Here's you guys at that new sushi place downtown," I narrated, pointing to a photo. "This was 3 days after you told me you couldn't pay your electric bill. Nice steak pairing, by the way." "That was a business dinner," Ryan sputtered, "for clients." Click. "Here's the receipt you posted, tagged as #date-night with about 12 heart emojis. Weird way to label a business dinner." Emma tried to jump in. "You're making us look bad on purpose. Those posts aren't telling the whole story." Click. A spreadsheet appeared, meticulous and color-coded. "You're right, they're not. So I made this. Every payment you asked for, every excuse you gave, and what you actually spent the money on. See these red highlights? Those are the times you claimed it was for utilities or rent, but then posted about buying luxury items instead." "This is ridiculous." Ryan stood up, his face red. "You're obsessed. You've been stalking our social media like some kind of stalker?" I interrupted, clicking to the next slide. "You mean like how you check in everywhere on Instagram? Or how you tag every store you shop at? Or maybe how you literally post your receipts trying to flex on people? That kind of stalking?" The room was dead silent. Jake was grinning like it was Christmas morning. Mom had her hand over her mouth. Dad had actually put down his phone. "But here's the best part," I continued, clicking to a new slide. "While you were spending my money on luxury goods, you were also making fun of me behind my back, calling me the rich tech nerd who had no life, making jokes about how I was buying your friendship. Remember those conversations, Emma? The ones at Cousin Sarah's baby shower?" Emma's face went from pale to red. "Aunt Linda," she whispered, "she told you." "Yeah, she did. Because unlike some people, she actually cares about family beyond what they can buy for her." Ryan tried to salvage the situation. "Look, we made some jokes, okay? We were stressed about money." "Stressed about money?" I clicked to the final slide, a montage of their luxury purchases over the past month after they claimed they were broke. "Is that why Emma bought a new Dyson Airwrap last week? Or why you bought those Gucci loafers? Or why you're still paying for an Equinox membership?" Mom finally found her voice. "Emma, is this true? All of it?" Emma burst into tears, real ones this time. "You don't understand. We had to maintain a certain image. Ryan's real estate career hasn't had a sale in 8 months, I finished for her. "Yeah, I checked the public records. Want me to show those too?" Ryan stood up so fast he knocked over his coffee. "This is bull. You're trying to make us look like criminals." "No," I said calmly. "I'm showing everyone exactly who you are. You took advantage of my help, mocked me behind my back, and then had the audacity to act like victims when I stopped funding your fake lifestyle." That's when Dad finally spoke up, in his quiet mechanic's voice that we all knew meant serious business. "Ryan, sit down. Emma, stop crying. William, show us everything." For the next hour, I walked them through it all. The payment history, the spending patterns, the social media posts, the lies. By the end, Mom was crying. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years and Jake was slow clapping in the corner. Emma and Ryan tried to leave halfway through, but Dad made them stay. "You wanted a family meeting," he said. "We're having one." When I finally closed my laptop, the room was silent except for Emma's sniffling. Then Mom looked at them and said something I never thought I'd hear. "I'm so disappointed in both of you." That's when I knew everything had changed. It's been 3 months since the family meeting that nuked my sister's fake Instagram lifestyle. And holy hell, have things changed. Grab some popcorn because this aftermath is better than any season finale I've ever watched. Remember how Emma and Ryan were always posting about their luxury lifestyle? Well, their social media went dark immediately after the meeting, like completely silent. The constant stream of brunches, shopping hauls, and inspirational quotes just stopped. Emma's last post was literally mid-story about some overpriced juice cleanse, the internet equivalent of a ghost town. But the real changes, those started happening about a week after the meeting. First, Ryan's BMW mysteriously disappeared from their driveway. Turns out, when you lease a luxury car and miss 3 payments, the repo guys don't care about your personal brand. He's driving a 2010 Honda Civic now. Welcome to my world, buddy. Their fancy rental house was next. Remember that $4,000 a month modern farmhouse monstrosity? Yeah, they got evicted. Not because I stopped paying. They'd actually been pocketing my rent money for months while missing payments. But because their landlord finally got tired of their excuses, the look on Ryan's face when he had to move their restoration hardware furniture into a storage unit was chef's kiss. Speaking of Ryan's real estate career, remember how I mentioned he hadn't closed a deal in 8 months? Well, someone, definitely not me, left a detailed review of his business practices on his broker's Facebook page. Suddenly, all those big deals he was always talking about evaporated. His broker pulled his license last month, citing ethical concerns. Now he's working at his uncle's car dealership in Round Rock. No more luxury real estate expert bio on LinkedIn. Emma tried to maintain her personal trainer/lifestyle influencer thing for about 2 weeks after moving back in with our parents. She'd post these weird, vague motivational quotes about weathering storms and staying authentic, but it's kind of hard to sell a luxury fitness lifestyle when you're filming workout videos in your childhood bedroom. Her Equinox membership got canceled. Shocking, I know. And most of her clients jumped ship when they realized her whole image was fake. The family dynamics have been interesting. Mom went through about a week of trying to fix things before Dad finally sat her down and showed her their credit card statements. Turns out, Emma had borrowed Mom's card information for some of those emergency shopping sprees. Now she's doing that quiet, disappointed thing that's somehow worse than anger. She actually made Emma get a real job. She's working as a receptionist at Dad's friend's dental office. No more flexible entrepreneur schedule. Jake, my absolute legend of a little brother, made a drinking game out of counting how many times Emma tries to blame her situation on everyone else during family dinner. Mercury isn't even in retrograde anymore, Emma. Maybe it's just consequences. I almost spit out my drink. The most satisfying part? All that designer stuff they bought trying to maintain their image? Most of it turned out to be fakes or returns they never sent back. Ryan's Rolex collection was all DHgate specials. Emma's designer bags were mostly high-quality dupes from some sketchy website. Even their furniture was mostly Facebook Marketplace finds they tried to pass off as new. The facade wasn't just cracking, it was completely fake to begin with. Last week, Emma tried one last time to fix things. She showed up at my apartment, yeah, the same sad little apartment she used to make fun of, with tears in her eyes and a speech about how she'd learned her lesson. She talked about therapy and personal growth and understanding the value of money now. I listened to her whole speech, then I showed her something I'd been saving, screenshots of her messages to our cousins from just 2 weeks ago, still talking trash about me and planning how to get back on my good side so the money would start flowing again. Her face when she realized I could still see the family group chat, priceless. Emma, I said, I don't need you to act sorry. I need you to actually change. And until that happens, we're done. She left, crying real tears this time, not the strategic ones she used to use. As for me, life's pretty good. That house down payment fund I mentioned? It's growing again. I upgraded my gaming PC. Finally got that $4,090, worth every penny. I'm taking actual vacations now. Writing this from a coffee shop in Tokyo, actually. Turns out, not bankrolling someone else's fake lifestyle leaves you with a lot of disposable income. Mom still occasionally tries to bridge the gap, but even she admits things are better this way. Dad's actually started asking me for financial advice, which is both weird and kind of awesome. And Jake? He's thinking about learning to code. Apparently, watching his big brother destroy 2 lives with PowerPoint inspired him. The best part? I ran into Ryan at H-E-B last week. He was wearing a polo with a car dealership logo and looking at the clearance items. When he saw me, he literally turned around and walked the other way. Guess those Gucci loafers are on the other foot now, huh?